So it was mainly about peptides, and peptides are small groups of amino acids. When we eat protein, we break it down into amino acids and peptides, and then our body puts the peptides and amino acids back together again to build muscle and us, basically. So back in the 70s, the Soviet secret soldier program was not only investigating frequency devices, which I think a lot of people know about, but they were investigating substances that could be used to protect anybody in battlefields. The Russian spies had worked out the Americans had a blinding laser, so absolute top priority for Russian soldiers was to have, if they were blinded, their retinas were burnt, how could they repair their retinas quickly and successfully? And they discovered, putting infinite amounts of money into the research, they employed a guy called Dr. Vladimir Kavinson, who was speaking at this event, who over 40 years ago developed the retinal repair peptide. Incredible discovery. And since then, there are about 25 more peptides that have been discovered. The best-selling one, the most important one, which a lot of people wouldn't guess, is the pineal gland peptide, because the pineal gland controls sleep, rest, it controls the cosmic connection, it controls it's it creates melatonin, serotonin, lots of happy stuff goes on there. And if you've got enough melatonin, then you're unlikely to have a cancer risk, all sorts of fabulous advantages to the melatonin pineal gland peptide. Then there are ones for lungs and kidneys and eyes and hearts and brains, and most organs have got a peptide. And the anti-aging effect of these is well proven, hugely well proven, increasing lifespan by a third or more. And because this was Soviet research, they didn't just test on like 60 people in a trial. They tested on thousands of people for 20 years. Massive research on peptides, and people don't realize how powerful peptides are, because it's not like a supplement where you take it every day. With peptides, you may be, let's say you are wanting to prevent a problem. Well, you might take peptides for 10 days, then you might take the next 6 months off and then do another 10-day course and another six months off, because what they are, peptides are gene switches. Doctors are taught that your genes determine your fate, and there's nothing you can do about it. This is absolute rubbish. Of course, by what you eat, what you think, what you do, you can alter your genetics. You can either express a gene in an unpleasant way, or you could express the gene in a beneficial way. And just, there are lots of herbs that do that. Ashwagandha, there are all sorts of herbs which are adaptogens. They help your body adapt to whatever situation you're in. And the peptides are a bit like that. They allow your body to just return to the way it should be. And so one of the lectures was from a dentist who touched, part of his lecture was about the work that the Japanese and others are doing with peptides to regrow cavities. Because if you've just got a cavity, well, you can regrow it. Even without peptides, you can regrow a cavity if you understand what the cause is. And I'll just briefly digress onto that. You might have heard me say this before, but you cut your finger, well, a healing has to occur. It's going to get hot and, inflamed, and that burns the bacteria off. Healing, inflammation is healing, if you see what I mean. Doctors say, oh, you're inflamed, that's wrong, let's turn it off. Well, no, that's actually the body's healing process. So you know what happens. You get a cavity in your hand, you cut it open with a knife, well, it'll heal up. Cavity in your fingernail, you break your fingernail, it'll heal up. Cavity in your tooth, oh my God, we've got to drill big holes in the tooth and fill it up with artificial materials. No, hang on a minute. Your teeth are regrowing all the time. They're not these dead things stuck there. So, well, regrow it then. So when you cut your finger, you didn't pour coffee on it and rub food into it. You left it alone, kept it sterile. If you did the same with your mouth and you had enough of the raw materials to build a new tooth, i.e. you've got enough minerals and vitamins and you're eating well enough that you can repair, then just like your fingernail, it'll grow back. What's the problem? So I went, when I was working with a medical doctor years ago, he said, I woke up one morning and I was in pain. Suddenly a cavity arrived. And he said, well, there's an ozone dentist around the corner who does ozone treatment for dentists. Go around there. He'll blow some ozone in the hole. That'll keep it sterile. Then he'll tell you what to eat and what not to eat. And the tooth cavity will grow back. It did. So now they're working, scientists all over the place are working with peptides to regrow teeth because you can speed the process up by putting a peptide in there. I'm trying, they gave me a free sample of one of the tooth serums. There's so much development going on around the world right now around peptides. There are people, well, let me give you another example. One of the medical doctors at this conference, they weren't all medical doctors, but a lot were, he's a surgeon. He operates on knees and hips and so on, but not anymore. He doesn't, but not in the same way. He doesn't replace hip joints or knee joints anymore. What they do is they take out about 10 mil of your blood, 10 cc's, whatever it is, of your blood, and they put it in a machine for about 24 hours and do stuff to it. And at the end of 24 hours, it's now a little solid lump of blood. And they take a scalpel and they cut off little tiny slivers of this. Then, let's say it's a knee joint, they make 3 little incisions at certain points around the knee, just 2 or 3 millimeters, tiny, and they put the little sliver of blood in, and that triggers stem cells to regrow the cartilage and bone and joints. Wow. Yeah. So they've been doing this at the University of Rome. This doctor now works at Worthing Hospital. He's Italian. His name is Valerio Di Nicola. Valerio Di Nicola. And the operation, if you were to do it privately, is about 1/10 of the price of a knee operation or a hip operation. It's super cheap. It's not much to it. And people get better really quickly. And at least a couple of thousand people have been successfully treated now over a few years. And your local GP will find out about it in about 2050.